The moment I realized I meant nothing to him, I was standing in our bathroom holding a positive pregnancy test. My name is Maya Rodriguez, and I live in Miami, Florida. 29 years old, event planner, the kind of woman who could organize a perfect wedding but couldn't see her own relationship falling apart. For 5 years, I loved Carlos with everything I had. We lived together in a small apartment in Coral Gables, talked about marriage, about kids, about forever. But that September morning, staring in at those 2 pink lines, my hands shaking, my heart pounding, I realized I was about to find out who he really was. I walked into our bedroom. He was getting dressed for work. I held up the test, my voice barely a whisper. "Carlos, I'm pregnant." He froze, looked at the test, then looked at me. And what he said next shattered every dream I'd ever had. "That's your problem, not mine. I never wanted kids. Figure it out." Then he grabbed his keys and left. Just walked out like I'd told him we were out of milk. Like I was nothing. Like our 5 years together meant absolutely nothing. I sat on our bed for 3 hours. Didn't move, didn't cry. Just stared at the wall, feeling my entire future collapse. He came home that night acting like nothing happened, asked what was for dinner. I looked at him, this stranger wearing my boyfriend's face, and I realized something crucial. He didn't just not want the baby. He didn't want me. He'd been tolerating me, using me. And now that I came with a complication, he was done pretending. I asked him point blank, "Do you love me?" He sighed, annoyed, like I was bothering him. "Maya, you're too emotional, too needy. I thought you'd grow out of it." My blood went cold. "So what now?" He shrugged. "Do what you want with it, but I'm not sticking around for this." That night, after he fell asleep, I made the hardest decision of my life. I couldn't bring a child into this toxicity. I couldn't raise a baby with a man who saw me as a burden. The next week I had an abortion, alone, in a cold clinic with fluorescent lights and strangers holding my hand. Carlos didn't even ask how it went, just seemed relieved the problem was gone. But something broke in me that day. Not in a weak way, in a clarifying way. I realized I'd spent 5 years making myself smaller so he could feel bigger. I'd turned down job opportunities because he said I worked too much. I'd stopped seeing friends because he called them shallow. I'd gained weight because I was depressed, and he made comments about it constantly. I'd lost myself completely. And for what? For a man who abandoned me the second I needed him most. So I made a decision. I was going to leave, but not broken, not defeated. I was going to rebuild myself so completely that he'd spend the rest of his life regretting what he threw away. I started that night. I opened a separate bank account he didn't know about, started transferring money, small amounts, building an escape fund. I reached out to an old colleague, Lisa, who'd started her own luxury event company in South Beach, asked if she needed help. She offered me a position immediately, double what I was making. I took it without telling Carlos. I joined a gym, started therapy, began unpacking 5 years of emotional abuse I'd normalized. My therapist helped me see the patterns, how Carlos isolated me, controlled me, made me doubt my own reality, how I'd confused his need for control with love, how I'd been drowning and calling it swimming. 3 months passed. I lost 25 pounds. Not for him, for me, for the woman I'd abandoned. I started dressing better, doing my makeup, showing up for myself in ways I hadn't in years. Carlos noticed, started being nicer, more attentive. He thought I was trying to win him back. He had no idea I was preparing to leave. I found an apartment, a beautiful 1-bedroom in Wynwood with exposed brick and huge windows, signed the lease, bought furniture, built a home that was entirely mine. And one Saturday morning, while Carlos was at the gym, I moved everything out, left only his things, left a note on the kitchen counter. I deserve someone who sees my value. You never did. Goodbye. I blocked his number, blocked him on everything, disappeared from his life as completely as he'd tried to disappear from mine. The first month alone was hard. I cried, questioned myself, wondered if I'd made a mistake. But then my career exploded. Lisa's company took off, and I was her right hand. We planned events for celebrities, corporations. My name started circulating in Miami's event scene. I was making real money, building a reputation. And more than that, I was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. I started dating, nothing serious. Just remembering what it felt like to be valued, to be seen, to be chosen. I met someone named Alex at a networking event, a photographer, kind, funny, emotionally available. We started as friends, then slowly, carefully, something more. He didn't rush me, didn't pressure me, just showed up consistently and let me heal at my own pace. 6 months after I left, I was at an event I'd planned, a massive charity gala at a 5-star hotel in South Beach. I was wearing a red dress, hair and makeup flawless, confident, radiant. And then I saw him, Carlos. He was there with some woman, saw me across the room. His face went pale. He walked over, leaving his date behind. "Maya, you look incredible. What are you doing here?" I smiled, professional, detached. "I planned this event." His jaw dropped. You're working here?" I laughed, genuine amusement. "I'm the lead planner, Carlos. This is my company." He stared, processing. "Maya, I've been trying to reach you. I made a mistake. I was scared, but I realize now." I held up my hand. "Carlos, I don't care. I genuinely don't. You showed me exactly who you were when I needed you most, and I'm grateful, because if you hadn't, I'd still be shrinking myself for someone who never deserved me." His eyes filled with tears. "Real ones. Please. I love you. I always did." I looked at him, really looked, and felt nothing. "You loved the version of me that made you feel powerful, but you never loved me. And honestly, I don't love you either, not anymore. I love myself too much now." I walked away, back to my event, back to my life. Alex was waiting for me near the bar, smiling. We left together, and I never looked back. Last I heard, Carlos tried reaching out to mutual friends, asking about me, trying to find a way back in, but there was no way back, because I'd closed that door, locked it, and thrown away the key. He underestimated me, thought I'd break, thought I'd beg, thought I needed him to be whole. But I didn't break. I rebuilt into something stronger, something he could never have again. And that's the ultimate karma. Not him suffering, but me thriving, me choosing myself, me loving myself so completely that his absence became the greatest gift he ever gave me. My betrayal became my breakthrough. His underestimation became my motivation, and my self-love. That became his ultimate karma, because he has to live knowing he had something rare and real, and he destroyed it, while I get to live knowing I survived him and became everything without him. If this story hit home, smash that like button and drop a comment telling me your thoughts. Have you ever had to choose yourself over someone who didn't choose you? Let's talk about it. And if you're new to Venomous Revenge, subscribe, because self-love is the best revenge, and I've got plenty more stories proving it.